with You Made That. Today I'm going to talk about some things we can do with this cute little Lawn Fawn stamp. And I'm going to use this one as an example, but there's lots of different kinds of these cute little stamps. They have an image and a sentiment on each one, and we can get a lot of mileage out of these. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get a different color of duck with only black ink. And I'm going to use this little ink cube. I made it actually myself and used Onyx Black Ink Re-Inker. I like to do those. And the blank spot is from Stampin' Up. So let's say you only have black ink. Well, you can stamp on a pattern. This is a piece of Lawn Fawn scrap that is iffy speckled. It's only on one color or one side. And I just stamp my duck onto this. You can use any kind of pattern paper. Let's take this Doodlebug piece. It's got this on the back. But let's take this. I'm using my foam pad just to get a good impression because it's a clear stamp. So I'm going to take my ink cube to my stamp and press hard. I'm using a Stampin' Up! Acrylic block. And look at that. It looks so colorful and cute. So now, how do we make this work on a card? We're going to do what we call fussy cutting. Some people hate fussy cutting, but I actually love fussy cutting. So I've got my Fiskars scissors or snips. They have a spring, and so they're really easy to use. I'm going to just cut the piece out. And then the trick is to fussy cutting is you turn the paper instead of turning your scissors. And I'm also going to come in from this side too. So when I go around curves, I'm turning the paper and not my hand. If that makes sense. I'm not concerned about not following exactly. I mean, I'm trying to, but I've got a trick for that. It will help us cover any mistakes. I like to stamp a bunch of images, and then when I'm watching TV, I'll just cut a bunch of things out. I think it's fun, but you could also use the die. It might have come with your stamp, and then you could die cut your duck out. I'm sorry, it doesn't come with the stamp. You have to buy it separately, but if you have a die cut machine, then you could just die cut it out. But fussy cutting, you can get right up to the edge. I'm standing up and I'm trying to do this and stay in the camera focus. I'm not doing the best job, but I do like these scissors. They don't make my hands tired. I think I got them at Michael's or Joann's a while ago. Okay, I better put my lid on there. So let's say you are going to glue this onto this color cardstock and you were going to stamp a sentiment on there. Well, that's fine, except you can see little white areas where I missed. Hello. Okay, it doesn't want to zoom in for me. So you take a marker, a black marker, and you just go along the side. Whoops, sorry. Okay, let me try that again. So you take a black marker and you just go along the side. Now a Sharpie could do this, but sometimes Sharpies bleed past your stamped image and you might not want that. I've had it happen with some. I have had it not happen with some. So I'm just coloring the white edge black so that it looks like I did it right and left no white edges. And yes, is it tedious? Of course, but that's okay. I'm going to go all the way around him and sit down and do it so I can do a good job, and then I'll come right back. I finished coloring the cute little duck. I finished coloring the cute little duck. All the edges are black now. And I just used, what is this? Papermate pen. It's not the greatest. I actually would prefer if it was like a brush tip. I am having trouble focusing today. Okay, if it was a brush tip, it would be easier to kind of go along the side of the duck, but I still made it work. And if I was to glue him onto this card base, he looks nice and clean. And it just kind of hides any white areas that you didn't quite cut along perfectly. So that is one way to add color to a stamped image if you only have one color ink. I could cut this yellow duck out and they could be friends. Look how cute that would be. And I would also color along the edges too. So that's an idea. And a lot of these stamp sets by Lawn Fawn make it easy to cut the image out. Now this duck might be a little tricky because he's got these skinny little legs, but you wouldn't have to make him perfect, or maybe you'd cut off his legs and have him in a pool of water. You know, be creative. You don't have to use the stamp the way it is. Okay, another thing I want to show you is masking. Now masking is important when you want to put a bunch of ducks overlapping, or even two ducks, and you want them to overlap. So what I've got here is post-it paper, post-it note paper, and the whole backside is sticky. So it's not just sticky along the top, the whole thing is sticky. So if you're looking for it, look for the package that says, like, it's sticky all over. Or there's also masking paper. Gina K Designs has a really good masking paper. But I have the sticky one. I think I got it at Target like a long time ago, and I noticed they don't have it anymore. So maybe try online. But what I did is I inked up my duck. I'm going to stamp him onto the masking paper. And then I'm going to cut him out. And here we go. I like to put whatever I'm not using of the masking paper back onto my pad so that I can use it. And this mask can be used several times. So I always put a mask, if I've cut one out, I put it in with my stamp so that next time I go to use this duck stamp, I'll say, oh, I already cut a mask. I want to use that again. You do want to get right up toward the line if you can, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So here's a piece of cardstock, just plain white, that I'm going to stamp on. I'm going to put my little mask there. So here's what we're going to use the mask for. Ink up my duck. I'm going to turn it like this. Okay, now we say I want another duck behind him so that he looks like he's in a little group of ducks. So the mask goes on whatever you want to be in front. And this duck is who I want to be in front. So I ink up my stamp again. And I'm going to stamp him behind. And it's okay to stamp over the mask. Again, we can use these a couple of times. I peel off my mask. And ta-da! There's two ducks overlapping. Okay, what if we want another duck in front? Ta-da! So you cover up whatever you want to stay in front. So you have to think about, okay, what do I want to do, and who do I want to be masked, and how does this work? Again, it hasn't bled through, so I can reuse this a couple times, and I just keep it with my stamp in here or in another packaging or something. Now let's step this up a little bit, and we're going to do what's called paper piecing. We are going to piece this yellow duck's bill onto this duck. So again, I've only used black ink, and I'm getting a whole bunch of color from my duck just by using different pattern papers. So then, and I could, use a black marker and color the edges. I'm not going to do that right now. Plus, I already did it on this colorful guy. So, and there, we've got two tones. And we can keep going and cut the feet from this yellow and piece them onto here. So that is paper piecing using stamps onto pattern paper. That's a lot of P's, that's hard to say. So that's just some things that are fun to do with Lawn Fawn little stamps. Thanks for watching.